After 3 long days of unconsciousness, Mark finally awakens from his coma. His body is battered and bruised, bearing the consequences of his brutal battle. His forearm and hand shattered, his skull fractured, and his leg broken. As his vision clears, he takes in the sterile hospital room, the beeping monitors, and the weight of pain coursing through his body. Before he can process it all, Eve is there. Her presence is warm, her relief palpable. She's been waiting, hoping, and now, seeing him awake, she can finally breathe again. Eve moves closer, eyes searching his as she asks the question he dreads. Does he remember what happened? The memories surge back like a tidal wave, overwhelming and suffocating. The battle, the blood, the agony, the moment he thought he had lost her. His breath catches in his throat, and before he can stop himself, his eyes well up with tears. He had believed she was gone, ripped away from him forever. Gently, Eve reassures him. She tells him about her powers, how, in moments of extreme emotional trauma, she can override the mental blocks imposed by the government, allowing her to manipulate living, organic matter. She had done it before, and in the aftermath of their battle, her abilities had surged once again, healing wounds she never thought possible. Mark notices something different about her, something subtle but undeniable. The incident has altered her body, her bust slightly enhanced due to the side effects of her abilities. The realization sparks an intimate moment between them, a quiet connection in the midst of chaos. But before they can dwell in it, the moment is shattered. The door swings open abruptly. Debbie and Paul step inside, their presence an unintentional intrusion. Eve hurriedly wipes her lips, a hint of embarrassment flashing across her face as she murmurs an apology. But Debbie isn't focused on them. Her eyes land on Mark, and in an instant, she is overwhelmed with emotion. Tears streak down her face as she approaches her son, her voice trembling as she tells him he doesn't have to keep doing this. He doesn't have to be a superhero anymore. She leaves before he can respond, taking Paul with her. Before Mark can process the interaction, Cecil enters the room. Cecil doesn't waste time. He tells Mark they need to talk. Mark, still gathering his thoughts, asks about conquest. Without hesitation, Cecil presents the body, the lifeless husk of the brutal Viltrumite who nearly took everything from him. Mark stares at it for a moment, his expression unreadable, before silently returning to Eve. Whatever emotions swirl within him, he buries them for now. Later, Mark decides to visit Oliver. Before he leaves, Eve reminds him about Rex's funeral. Mark hesitates, but ultimately agrees to go with her. The ceremony is somber, attended by various Image comic superheroes. Robot, Bulletproof, Brit, Capes Incorporated, The Immortal, Duplicate, Savage Dragon, Super Patriot, Donald Ferguson, Black Samson, and others. Each of them feels the weight of loss. Rex was more than a teammate. He was a friend, a rival, and a force to be reckoned with. Robot steps forward to speak. He admits that, at first, he found Rex insufferable, but over time, he came to admire his confidence, even idolize it. As a tribute, he announces that he will take on the name Rex in honor of his fallen comrade. His words strike a chord, and Amanda, unable to contain her emotions, tells him she loves him. When it's Eve's turn to speak, she tries, but the grief is too much. Overcome with emotion, she steps away. After the funeral, Mark finds Eve once more. She confesses her regrets about how she treated Rex, how she had taken him for granted. She tells Mark that she had loved Rex once, but even while she was with him, she had started to develop feelings for Mark. Mark listens quietly, and despite the sadness in her voice, he smiles, relieved that she is here, safe, and with him. The two share a kiss, sealing a moment of solace amid the lingering grief. As the night progresses, Mark and Eve return to the Wilkins house. Alone together, they finally give in to their feelings. Their intimacy is briefly interrupted by the reality of Mark's injuries, his body still wrapped in casts, making the situation more than a little awkward. Eve, undeterred, uses her powers to neatly remove his clothing, folding them beside the bed with an almost playful efficiency. Mark is taken aback, but impressed. However, unbeknownst to them, Eve's transmutation powers aren't working quite right. Later, Mark's costume is found to be a bizarre mixture of stone, liquid, and plants, an unintended side effect of her abilities malfunctioning. Meanwhile, far from their world, in another dimension, Angstrom Levy undergoes yet another transformation. A team of scientists fits him with a new cybernetic hand, repairing the damage he sustained. As he regains his bearings, he demands to know their motives. What do they want from him? His captors assure him that his role is far from over. This is merely the beginning. Elsewhere, the Sequids continue their silent conquest, spreading their influence, preparing for their next move to seize control of Earth. Back on Earth, deep beneath the Pentagon, Donald follows Cecil to a classified facility hidden in the Mojave Desert. It is here that they unveil a chilling secret. Conquest is not truly dead. His body has been preserved, stored away in a 400-ton underground prison. He is healing, and once he recovers, Cecil plans to interrogate him, seeking crucial intelligence on the Viltrumite threat looming over Earth. The war is far from over. Mark finally visits Oliver in the hospital. The younger Grayson is on the mend, set to be discharged in a few days. Their conversation takes a serious turn when Mark reveals his growing frustration. Eve's powers aren't functioning properly, and despite everything, he still feels powerless. Anger boils to the surface as he shouts, blaming himself for not being able to protect those he loves. Oliver, regretful, apologizes, but Mark is firm. Oliver has nothing to apologize for. It is Mark who carries the weight of failure. He makes a solemn vow. If anyone ever threatens his family, his world, he won't hesitate. He won't hold back. He will kill without a second thought. And that's the story, folks. Please leave your thoughts below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos like this one. See you next time.